I want to talk about something a little bit more fun, actually. I was thinking about making a video on this, but I thought that it would just it honestly, I just thought it would take too long, and I wanted to spend more time on my side videos that aren't let's plays in the podcast on right now Packs of the Past. I'd really like to get episode 1 of that out sometime this in the next few months. That one's going to be a long one. It'll take a while, but so I didn't make a video of it, but I wanted to bring it up now because it feels like it's a little bit more prevalent, and that would be Sega, for anybody once again who doesn't know, has been really touting and talking about bringing back a lot of their classic franchises. They started the Sega Forever campaign, basically, and they're starting to release, I think as of right now, we'll see if this lasts, but as of right now, every 2 weeks they're releasing a classic Sega game on phones, Android. I would assume iOS has it too. I have an Android though. And right now, what do they got? They got the first Sonic, Shinobi. They just released Revenge of Shinobi, Altered Beast. So classic Sega games. And I wanted to give my top 10 Sega games, Sega franchises that I want to come back. Whether it be in this phone form, or they said they were going to try to bring a lot of them back by 2022. I can't remember the year they said, but I don't know. I don't really have this in a particular order, I suppose. Some I do want more than others, but first we're going to go through the honorable mentions just because I feel like it's kind of lame to save them for the end, personally. Unless I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're going to go through the honorable mentions. So my honorable mentions are Skies of Arcadia, House of the Dead, and Panzer Dragoon. Now, a couple of these probably deserve to come back more than others. First of all, Skies of Arcadia, I'm not an expert on the subject, but I think it only has one game. It has the Dreamcast one, and then the re-release on GameCube, and it's in my honorable mentions because I never played it, but I always thought it looked really good. I really want to play it. It's expensive though, and I don't have a Dreamcast currently anymore. I do have a GameCube, obviously, played Pokemon Coliseum, so of course I have a GameCube, but the GameCube version is it's even more. It's I've seen it for $70-$80 right now. Of course that's complete, but still, I don't think it really would matter much, honestly. It's a pretty tough game to find. House of the Dead, that's an honorable mention because I always really like the House of the Dead games. I like their arcade style shooting, but we have had some opportunities at it in recent years. There was one on the PS3. I don't remember what it was called. It was kind of weird, and it didn't. That was a strange game. I don't remember if I liked it or not. Honestly, I did play it, but I would like a little bit more of a return to the original styles of House of the Dead. But it's nothing that I'm personally really itching for. But I do like those. And then Panzer Dragoon. That's probably one that a lot of people would put in the top 3 for their Sega franchises that need to return. Once again, for me personally, I think it looks awesome, but I've never played it. So that one's mostly in honorable mentions just because I feel like it deserves to come back. It seems to have the respect and everything, but for me personally, I don't know what else to say about it. I want to try them, because there's a couple of them. Panzer Dragoon, Orda, and whatever else. But yeah. So now, if we were gonna go through the top 10, and like I said, in no particular order, I'll give you some ideas of which ones I want more. Let's start with Afterburner. I feel like Afterburner is one of those Sega franchises that doesn't get a lot of love. I love it. I remember I used to play the arcade cabinet for Afterburner HD Climax or whatever it's called. That's a weird fucking name, kind of generic, whatever. But that game was awesome, and it was 2 players too. That particular version of it. Music's awesome. Love Afterbird. I think they had one. I thought they had one fairly recently, not in the past couple years, but I think we had one on the. I want to say a handheld. Maybe it was the DS, like within the past decade. But I just want like a normal, like, oh, this is like a new Afterburner game coming out. Even if it was just like porting like HD Climax or something to the console or something. That's one that I definitely want to. Once again, I'd probably put that lower, like near the 10-9 spot, because like I said, I think we've had some, and we might have even had a port. I'm just not aware of it. Plus it is just like a shooter, but still, it's one that I love and one that I want to see. Shinobi. So we did just get the Revenge of Shinobi, like I said, emulator port through the Sega Forever program. But I really want a brand new Shinobi game. It doesn't. That's the other thing about a lot of these. They don't have to be 3D games. Like, make them 2D. Do what you did with Sonic Mania. If Sega did what with, like, Shinobi, any of these franchises, like what they did with Sonic Mania, that would be perfectly fine by me, and I'm sure perfectly fine by a ton of other people. It might not necessarily work, because the thing with Sonic Mania is they had somebody like Christian Whitehead, a huge fan, to like help make that game and everything. But I say go for it, like give it a shot, because it's probably going to be easier to do that than it would be to make a 3D one, I would imagine. But Shinobi, the last one I can think of that one was on the 3DS. They had one on the 3DS. I never played that one though. I want another like full-fledged Shinobi game. Doesn't have to be 3D. It could be a 2D Shinobi game. I'd be happy with that as well. Phantasy Star. So Phantasy Star is, I would probably put that somewhere towards the middle. Which, by the way, Shinobi is probably not a little, maybe like 6, 7th spot. Phantasy Star I'd put just like right in front of that. Now, Phantasy Star has had games recently. I think they had Phantasy Star Online 2. Was that a Japan exclusive? Somebody might have to figure that one out I can't remember. I think it was, but if it's not, it was for a good couple years or so. The last Phantasy Star game that I really played was Phantasy Star. What's it? I did play the first Phantasy Star Universe on PSP, but I didn't own it, so I didn't play it a lot. It was Phantasy Star Universe. Is that the really crappy game? It's a piece of shit. But regardless, I just think it would be cool to have like another MMO, hopefully on consoles and PC, maybe even cross-platform. And Phantasy Star, the style I've always loved the style. Even though we've had recent Phantasy Star games, I don't feel like they've been justice to the franchise. I would really like a full-fledged, like, do what they do with like Monster Hunter. I mean, don't make the combat like, make it still Phantasy Star, but get the idea. MMO, just a big Phantasy Star MMO that hopefully can carry on for a while. I just think that'd be great. It's been too long since I've had like faith in Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star, the PSP ones were good though. I did like those ones. It's just that, like I said, I think the second one was Japan exclusive. I think it was there when I went to Japan. It was there, but I never bought it. Knights. Now, Knights is high on my list for a different reason. Not because I really, really want a Knights game, although, I mean, I do. It's because In fact, once again, I'd probably put Knights around 4. I'm just going off, my head here in my notes, but I don't have them in an order, like I said. But the reason that I would want Knights to come back is mostly because it. So I never. Well, did I play? No, I never played the original, and that's obviously like the best. Everybody's like, oh, that's what made it. It a thing. Knights a thing. And I played the Wii one, and everybody fucking hates that game. I played it around the time I got my Wii. I don't remember exactly, but I never played the full thing through. I thought it was. See, the thing is, I thought it was fun. I didn't think it was a fantastic game, but I think people had other issues with it, and most of those people were the ones who played the original, and also there were any new fans. Well, that's the thing. They didn't gain any new fans from the Wii one because it just flopped. So, the reason I want another Knights game is because they do have the original on the 360 backwards compatibility now, and I plan on buying it sometime to try it out. But I mostly want another shot at the franchise because I don't feel like, even though I haven't played the original, I feel like I understand people's complaints about the Wii one. Like, I don't feel like I had a good opportunity at that game, or that franchise, and I don't feel like a lot of other people did either, because the Wii one was more accessible to find and purchase and stuff than the Sega Saturn one is. Maybe, like I said, maybe not now, because you've got the ports of the original. They have it on the 360 or the Xbox One or whatever. But for the longest time, when Knights would have had any popularity, it's Sega Saturn games can be hard to find, so not to mention you'd have to have a Saturn, and how many people actually owned one. So that's a franchise that I mostly want it. It's, like I said, around number 4, maybe 3, but probably 4, just for the sake of trying to. I feel like I'm desperate to be reintroduced to that series in a good way. So, plus there's only 2, so I mean, fuck, make another one. Jet Set Radio. Now, Jet Set Radio, well, they had the Jet Grind Radio was the first one, right? And once again, another game series that I don't quite know my history on. This is probably like around 6 or 7-ish for me. I don't quite know the franchise that well. They have the Jet Grind Radio and then Jet Set Radio Future. And then maybe there was like Jet Set Radio and then Jet Set Radio Future. I don't know. Once again, somebody's gonna have to correct me on that one. I played the I don't even know now. Once again, they have one on the Xbox backwards compatibility thing or whatever, and the arcade, the Xbox arcade. And I played that one. So whatever that one is, I played it and I really liked it. But this is kind of why it's 7 is because, or 7 or 6, just like I said, because I thought it was really good, but it's not one of my favorite Sega franchises. It's really underrated, or was. Now it kind of has a cult following, so take that as you will, I guess. But, the reason that I'd put it a little lower, higher, 7, but lower on 1 being the best, is just because I don't. What is it? I guess it's just that like I said, it's just not one of my favorite Sega games. There are just others that I want more than it, and even though we haven't, I should, instead of explaining why it's not towards number 1, I should actually explain why it's not towards 10. Because for me, 10 around, like I said, the Afterburner would be around there. That would suggest that I don't really want it as much as, the others or whatever. But I think that with Jet Set Radio, I feel like people deserve or should get another one. I don't want to say deserve, but it's been a while for one of those to come out. I guess that's all there is to it. I don't know why that was so hard for me to explain, but yeah, it's just been so long. So for me personally, I'm not like anticipating a Jet Set Radio, but I do think that it should come out before some of these other ones. Maybe if I even want it more. Like, I'd rather have an Afterburner, but I would actually like to see more Sega fans happy than me just getting the Afterburner game, and I feel like Jet Set Radio's. So that's what's putting it a little lower, as in towards number 1 on my list. Now we've got Altered Beast, which I would probably put around. I'm gonna do these all at once. Altered Beast, I'd probably put around 5 or 6ish. I know I gave like a 5 to one of them and a 7 to whatever. But and then towards the top 3, I would put Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and the Sonic Sega All-Stars, whatever you want. But for me personally, I kind of want the racing game back. So let's start with Altered Beast. So for Altered Beast, it's a game that I played in my childhood quite frequently. I always loved it. It's not as good as Streets of Rage or Golden Axe in my opinion. But it is really fun, and I always thought not only the reason Altered Beast I'd put around the mid on my rank is because not only should it have like a new game in the modern era, but even the original one had problems that they could have made like an Altered Beast 2 and improved upon the original. So like I said, that would actually be a good franchise for Sega to like do the Sonic Mania treatment, so to speak, and try to create a sequel or something. Just, you know, there might be like a sequel to Altered Beast or something, but the first one has some issues. I think Altered Beast, the game itself, has very mixed opinions among the gaming community, and I would like Sega to take the chance to try to. You don't want mixed opinions as a developer. You want mostly positive. I want them to try to take Altered Beast and make it mostly positive in opinions, or just mostly seen as mostly positive. They don't necessarily have to care about their opinions, but they want it to be a more respectable franchise. How about that? Now going on. Shit. I missed one. This would be around 4 or something, and then we'll move on to the Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Sonic Racing, or whatever. Space Channel 5. I do want another Space Channel 5. That's one. Space Channel 5 Part 2, I played it well, actually, I've never played the full game, I don't think. I've only played the demo, but I played it a fucking lot because I loved the demo. I thought it was such a unique game. Now, is it unique? Well, it might. They'd have to like make it a little more complex, I think. It's not exactly something that I don't know. Would you say? Leave this in the comments section. Would you say Space Channel 5 holds up? Because it's kind of strange, because it is just kind of a button presser, but it's still kind of unique, and there's not a lot of games like it, I guess. That's a tough one, but regardless, that's another one we got in the Sega Arcade, and they actually released it in the Sega Dreamcast collection. Did I say the Sega Arcade, the Xbox Arcade, whatever. You get the idea. So, we only got Part 2 though, first of all, but that one only has 2 games, right? Space Channel 5 and Space Channel 5 Part 2. And I really liked the gameplay to that game. I was surprised, because I was like, I don't know, it looks kind of, to be honest, girly, and like, no, that game's awesome. Space Channel 5 is a fun game. Also, Michael Jackson is in it. Kind of. I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say about Space Channel 5. I almost forgot to mention it. So now moving on, we'll go Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and Sonic Racing, not really in a particular order. Now Golden Axe, the last thing I can I'm pretty sure the last Golden Axe game they made was that really fucking horrible PS3. I don't think it was on 360, but PS3 Golden Axe game with the girl. I can't remember her name, but it doesn't matter. It was fucking atrocious, and that's the last memory people have of Golden Axe, and it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe that exists. I think Golden Axe is more of the I don't know. That's another opinion to leave in the comments section. What is more of a travesty to its own franchise? Golden Axe on the PS3 or Sonic 06? Because the thing with Sonic 06, well, it might be a shittier game. I honestly, that's tough, but the thing with Sonic 06 is that it's a lot of the Sonic tropes are still kind of there. Golden Axe is just, it's fucking like, what is this? Like, why is this? It barely, I don't even know if I want to say it represents Golden Axe. It's hard to, I mean, obviously it does because it bears the name, but just in theme and stuff, it's kind of like how, what's it called? Castlevania, the Lords of Shadows or whatever. It's like, it doesn't feel like Castlevania. Yeah, Golden Axe doesn't feel like Castlevania, and it's a fucking atrocious game. Lords of Shadows not great. It's okay, but at least it's not as bad as that game. So, Golden Axe, yeah, that's another one I played as a kid, a shit ton. Loved Golden Axe. Loved the three characters from the original. They had, I think they had other, I can't remember if Golden Axe 2 and 3 had it. I mostly played the first one. Awesome music, just fucking amazing. And I think they had a PS2 one, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's been a while. The last one that did come out was fucking atrocious, and it's one of my favorite Sega franchises. If there's anything that I feel like they should and could salvage, it's Golden Axe. And moving on, a lot of these opinions kind of carry over to Streets of Rage with the exception of the shitty game part. I don't know when the last Streets of Rage game was made. Did they only make it 1, 2, and 3? I don't think there's any, like, remakes on any consoles or something like that. There might be. It was only recently that I found out they did that Golden Axe game on the PS2, so maybe there is. I don't know. But Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 are all awesome, regardless. Once again, one of my favorite Sega franchises from when I was a kid. I played a shit ton of Streets of Rage 1. Awesome music. Like I said, I'm kind of echoing the Golden Axe thing here, so I don't have much to say. Because it's kind of the same deal. Yeah, that's another one I think they should take a shot at. Either one of those, I'd be happy. I mean, they're very similar. I mean, they're both beat 'em ups. 3 characters. Streets of Rage 2 had 4 characters to choose from. Awesome music, stages, special ability that like wipes the screen out. Very similar, but at the same time, the theme is so different and stuff, and you could do a lot more, I think, nowadays, than you could do back then. So finally, as I mentioned before, Sonic and Sega All-Stars blank, because they've made like the Sega All-Stars Tennis, which was and then they had like the Sega Superstars and the iToy, which I never played. But Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing is my favorite like kart racer game. I like it more than Mario Kart, personally. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I think it's just more competitive and more balanced and nothing stupid like the Blue Turtle Shells. They have All-Stars, which is like the closest thing to quote-unquote like a bullshit power-up, but even the All-Stars aren't that bad. Some of them take skill, some of them are better than others, but the thing is that if there's a character that has a really good all-star, they have to sacrifice their car's speed or their power, so it makes up for it. So, I don't know. I don't need to go on a tangent as to why I think that's better than Mario Kart. I already did that in my Sonic and Sega All-Stars Let's Play, which was my first... No, that was my second one, after Sonic CD. But, it seemed like that was a franchise I was like, man, they could make a ton of these. And it would, I mean, it would be fine. You know, just add new tracks and stuff. That's what Mario Kart does, and they're fine. Nobody's like, oh, Mario Kart's different every single time, and it's like barely. It's not fucking. It's like it's. I love Mario Kart. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad because of that, but I'm just saying that Sonic could have done the same thing. But for some reason, they stopped after Transformed, and I don't know why. So many things I love about that game. A lot of glitches. Not nearly as polished as Mario Kart, but not every developer. I mean, who is as polished as Nintendo? Come on, they're so polished. I know that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that Team Sumo, who was the developers, couldn't have polished it more, but it doesn't matter to me, really. I mean, it's just such a well-made game that... Fuck. Anyways, those are my top 10 Sega games that I want Sega to try to revive. There's probably some that I'm kind of missing here. I would have said Puyo Puyo, but they just released a new one of those. Bayonetta, but that's the thing. It's not really a Sega franchise anymore. The first one is. Second one is Nintendo's now, so I'm assuming that the third one will probably be. So, anyways, that is my top 10 Sega franchises in no particular order, but kind of gave you an order that I want to be revived through this whole Sega Forever initiative they're going through.